Good afternoon, or good evening, or good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The Bill Crane Report is on the air with my friend Dwayne Weiss.
Hi, guys.
Right by my side, ready to bring you all sorts of things. But first of all, before we get rolling, excuse me, I want to wish you all happy September. We have put August and July behind us, and the heat. And hopefully things will ratchet down and get cooler as we go along. Sure that in the middle of September or towards the end we'll get 4 or 5 days of hot weather just to remind us what summer was like.
Indian summers, that's what they call it.
Yeah. But I'm looking forward to the fall, as I always do, my favorite time of the year. So, a couple of interesting things this morning, but I'm going to touch on them, and then I'm going to have Dwayne. He's got a couple of things that he's got to really bugging him. First of all, we were talking before we went on the air about the Wall Street Journal, an excellent newspaper. However, it's pretty darn pricey. And Dwayne subscribed to it with the teaser rate. And now
I think it was a 6 months.
Yeah, 6 months
rate for, it was $100, $120 or something. Yeah.
So now it's time to resubscribe, to sign back up again for a year, and they want
$567 for 6 months.
$567 for 6 months.
Almost $1,200 for the year.
Oh boy, I like the Wall Street Journal. There's a lot of good stuff in there.
I do too. It's a great newspaper, and it's there's not that bias. You get the Globe is so skewed to the left, and God knows what the Sun Chronicle does. They go all over the place.
The Herald is
you get the Herald
to the right, but they've got 2 or 3 writers, I guess, for balance that are completely insane.
Yeah.
But they try to do a better job presenting both sides in the Herald. However, the talent, the writing, the depth is not there.
Not there, yeah.
You know, the sports section is okay, but they are losing that to Michael Silverman, who's been with them for 25 years, the Red Sox beat writer, just jumped ship to the Boston Globe.
Okay.
So the baseball reporting is going to go downhill. They cover the football pretty well, the Patriots, and the Celtics and the Bruins are fair at best. So I got to keep getting the Globe, you know?
Yeah. Well,
the Globe sports section is excellent.
Yeah, it is. It's very thorough.
As long as they keep the politics out of it and just report sports.
Yeah, don't bring that anti-Trump stuff into the sports
we
pages.
Don't need to get involved in that stuff, you know? But anyway, so I said to Dwayne, you know, when it comes to these things that I subscribe to, when I get the follow-up, oh, Bill, it's time to subscribe again here. So they give me a teaser rate of $32 a year. And now I get a bill that says $48 a year to re-sign up. Well, you know, rather than wait and miss half a dozen issues and wait for a lower offer, I call them and say, hey, good old Bill Crane here. I enjoy your magazine. It's a great magazine.
Let's negotiate a deal here.
But I sure don't like this price increase. Now listen, you want to keep me as a subscriber, work with me. You made money at 32, and now we're going to 48. It's not going to fly, not with my budget. I'm a poor senior citizen living on a fixed income. Work with me. And you know what? They invariably say something like, well, Mr. Crane, let's see if we've got another rate here.
Well,
look.
Let me check.
$35.95. How's that sound? That's fine.
That's fine.
Now we're working. So sign me up for 3 years at that rate and let her rip. You know what, folks? It works every time. Now, the other thing you can do is wait them out. Just take the resubscription and throw it away. The next one that comes is a reminder that you didn't resubscribe. Throw it away. Then you're going to get one that gives you a little bit better deal if you act within the next 7 days. Throw it away. Now, you probably missed 5 or 6 issues. Now, guess what arrives? We're looking through our files, and we notice you've been gone for 8 months.
Won't you please come back?
We miss you. So here, and bingo, you're back to the same rate you had before.
It's all a game out there.
And you know what? If they only offer you 1 year, I call them up and say, you know what? I like this rate. I want 3 years. We're not doing 3 years. Oh, forget about it then. Well, now wait a minute, Mr. Crane. Let me check. And then there's silence. And you know damn right well he's not checking.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Mr. Crane, we can do 3 years. I said, good. Sign me up. That's it.
You know what else you can negotiate with is the cable, Comcast.
Oh, yeah. But you know, that's like a bloodletting going to that.
You got to tell me, are you crazy? I got Fios right here in front of me for $69 a month with a $200 gift card. And you want how much? $193? Mm-hmm. I said, I don't need this. I just call Fios.
Wow.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah. I go do it in person.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. And you know why, Dwayne? My wife says to me, why are you going to drive to Mansfield?
Here now.
You know, what are you, out of your mind? You know, you're going to drive here, you're going to drive there. What the heck? What's wrong with the telephone? Or what's wrong with voicemail or digital email? Mm-hmm. Well, I said, there's a difference, honey. With emails, they can't see me.
Yep.
But they can see me when I arrive, and I'm big and ugly.
That's true.
All right? And I say, I'm
the
here,
big and ugly part, but
here to make
fact
a
that
deal.
you're there.
I'm here to make a deal. I'm big, ugly, and I also can be repulsive. So why don't we sit down and very calmly negotiate a much better deal than what you're offering me? You know, that approach seems to work.
I think that's probably very effective.
Yeah, it's, well, let's see if we can do something. Now, maybe if I do this and it's all bull. I mean, you know she's stringing you along. Mm-hmm. And then, whoa, it's gone from 208 down to 164.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yep.
And it's all such a game.
Yeah,
but you know what? I've got to go see them because Comcast is losing to the streamers, as is Verizon.
Both
and this is a good time to go and kick them in the belly.
Yeah, I saw
where it hurts.
how many millions of subscribers they lost the last few months.
So I'm going to go do that. In fact, I've got to do that soon because, you know, what, and this bothers me. This drives me crazy. Okay? Now, all right. Heavyweight championship fight is on TV next Friday night. Pay-per-view.
Yeah, that pay-per-view is expensive.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Go to whatever the heck that thing is, View Now or whatever the hell it is. My wife goes to it all the time and looks at programs and then punches something and watches it. I don't because I get confused by it. So if you, I'll say, okay, give me the remote. Okay. So now, if you want to watch the fight for $29.95, hit 7-2 pound now. Mm-hmm. 7-2 pound. Thank you. The fight will appear on channel 894 or something. Now, they can do that. Yeah, but they can't give us a la carte where we can pick the channels we want on our...
Oh, they could.
Of course they could.
They just-
and these lying scabs won't do it.
Who would subscribe to some of the channels that they got?
Yeah.
I mean, come
Oh,
on.
I know. The wheelchair repair channel.
Even the Good Housekeeping channel.
Yeah, the Good Housebreaking
You'd
channel.
have 10 people on it.
Yeah. It's enough to drive you crazy. I watch at most, and I will really stretch a point now. I watch maybe 10 channels.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. I watch the three majors. If there's a breaking news story, a local breaking news story, or if I want to get good weather coverage, I'll watch 4.
I'm a terrible channel flipper. It used to drive my wife crazy.
Oh, I never did that.
I looking around. If a commercial comes, I go to something else
Yeah.
quick, and then she said, "Well, go back. You never forget to go back." And then she says, "We don't know what's going on."
Yeah.
But what I do is I take that last watch. There's about 10 spots on the bottom,
Yeah.
and I'll program all them up.
Oh, all right.
So all I do is go. Boop, boop, boop. Oh,
Oh,
that's
you
it.
know how to do that?
Yeah,
Oh, see, I don't
that's
know.
pretty easy. I don't know much about when it comes to electronics or anything, but
I look at the 3 major Boston channels. I look at channel 40, which is NECN
yeah,
News and Weather. I look at Fox Business. I look at Fox News.
I like most of the Discovery family.
Nesson Sports, then the Comcast Sports, the NHL Network, the NFL Network, the Major League Baseball Network, and let me tell you something. Oh, Turner Classic Movies, 903.
Okay.
And I've just now run out of channels that I look at.
Okay,
That's it.
I like the History Channel and the Discoverers and
Yeah.
Travel Channel and those kind of things
Yeah.
too. I put them in there. They're pretty interesting.
Oh,
they do a
there
good
is,
job.
but I go into overload if I start watching too much. But
Last night I had something on about squirrels. And like I said, oh God, here we go. You can't possibly be interested in our program about squirrels. I said, yeah, I kind of was, but I'm not now. Yes.
yeah, she threatened to take the remote away from you.
Yeah, well, we have 3 remotes. And she's got one by her chair. I got 2 over by my chair. Every once in a while I see her take them to hers and go up there and she's going to change channels. She thinks I'm sleeping. But I'm not. Sometimes I am, but I wake up and I pretend I wasn't.
The wife humors me. I got the big set downstairs, and I like to watch sports on it. But come fall now, with the new shows coming on, I'm going back upstairs to the 32-inch.
There you go.
And she's got to watch. You know, she watches all the detective shows from 8 to 11.
Yeah.
And she's got them all down. Oh, this one comes on blah, 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 blah. And she also, and I'm this bad. I watch Seinfeld episodes when they come
do
on.
too.
I've watched them over and over, but they're still hilarious.
Yeah, there was a lot on the reruns. My son started watching the reruns, and he said too. He said that a lot of stuff that he didn't remember when he watched them the first time. And there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of humor in that, kind of buried in it sometimes.
There is. I mean, some of the humor in there, you got to catch it on the 4th rebound.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So she watches Friends over and over, like I watch Seinfeld over and over.
I never was a fan of Friends.
No, but she loved that show and still does. Well, I get 2 other things that are in the news. Hong Kong does not look like Hong Kong is going in the right direction here.
No.
That was very ominous this morning when the Chinese government stated that the demonstrations were going to stop.
You can only poke that tiger so many times.
And it's going to stop. And if there's bloodshed, the world will condemn it. And boy, I'll tell you, China, of course, now they're looking at our dictatorship being chinked away,
Yep.
eroded away, and they have got to act tough.
Oh, yeah, because they don't want Hong Kong to set a precedent for mainland.
That's right, because if it ever happens that this stuff it travels over to mainland China from Hong Kong, migrates over, and they start getting demonstrations on mainland China, then communism has got a big problem.
Big time.
And the
You're right.
Russians live with this too all the time.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you've got a boiling pot, you have to keep the lid on tight. And that's what they're doing. They're keeping the lid on a boiling pot.
Oh, yeah.
But the slightest little thing that could happen could blow this high, wide, and handsome. And if it ceases to be the financial headquarters for commerce in the Far East, all commerce, all business transactions go through Hong Kong. Well, let me tell you, China will lose tremendous amounts of money from all that money going elsewhere, and other headquarters for money will take place perhaps in Seoul, who knows, or in even Australia or
Singapore too.
Yeah, Singapore. So you don't know, but the Chinese have got to tread very cautiously here. A misstep, and I think there's going to be a misstep too, because if they're going to put this down by force, which is what it sounds like,
Yep.
there's going to be bloodshed, and there's going to be problems.
Yeah, well, China, particularly mainland China, had never had a history of being very subtle about stuff. It was always the iron fist. And it was a communist party, and it was a communist country, and that's how they ruled. They ruled party is all.
A dictatorship
Yep.
is like that. And sometimes you have a benign dictatorship
Yep.
where the dictator is actually loved by the people, who's trying to do a good job. That's few and far between. Usually the despots.
Yep.
But mostly they rule by force.
Yep.
And that's how they stay there. Item 2, and probably much more serious for us, but nonetheless serious, the hurricane.
Yeah.
Have you been following that?
I didn't, not today, but I have been over the weekend.
Well, it hasn't moved.
Again, still last night.
Now, they were
I can't imagine being in the Bahamas and have that thing sitting there, not...
the eye wall over you, 150 mile an hour winds for 36 hours? Yumpin' Yiminy.
Yeah, it's just, that scenario worries me a little bit. You remember Hugo? Hurricane Hugo that we got hit with?
I remember the name, yeah.
Well, the scenario's quite a bit the same. Went to Florida, hugged Florida coast, went up, just touched that part of Carolinas that stick out, stayed right across, went out across Long Island, and turned right in over Taunton someplace.
I do remember some years ago a very serious hurricane that came up the coast, and it was supposed to be a hit in New England. And at the last minute, it turned left and went up the Hudson River Valley.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So what they're saying this morning is don't read too much into it staying in one spot, except that the destruction is terrible. We are now more convinced than ever that when it starts back up, it's going to go due north. Well, then it's going to start to curve. looks like it might find landfall in South Carolina, and then North Carolina could get a good belt. But then it shows coming up the coast and bending and bending and bending. And you know how they show the cone on TV? Well, the cone, the outer edge of the cone goes across Cape Cod.
Oh, yeah, I saw that yesterday already. There.
Now, if there's any error in that, and it comes inland, we could get some winds
Yep.
and a hell of a lot of rain.
Yeah, well, we could get some devastation from it too.
I
It all
think
depends on where it goes.
it would be wise for us to keep our eyes open and our powder dry here.
Exactly. Don't wait till the last minute. Or
Yeah,
anything.
to go buy water or...
Gasoline, you should have your
Do you know, gasoline's an interesting subject. I don't wait until the gas gets low
I
in
don't
my
either.
car. Somewhere around half.
Yeah.
When it gets below half, I get my eye on where I'm going to go get gas.
Well, you should. You shouldn't, even from the standpoint of your car's well-being, you shouldn't let it run completely down like that.
Exactly right. There's junkola at
Yeah,
the
that's
bottom
right.
of
Over the
the
years,
tank
that
that
stuff
gets
gets
sucked
sucked
up and gets sucked up into the running gear.
Yeah, my son found out that he used to run his right down to the fumes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he plugged up his fuel injectors.
My kids do that. You know, well, they did it. And you know why? Because they didn't have that much money. They didn't, and they thought they were saving money by not. But if you gotta put it in, and you gotta tank it up from dry,
That's right.
you're spending the same bloody money as if you filled it up at half or 3/8 or. Because you know, I always think.
I always fill up every time I go to BJ's. It
There you
just
go.
as a matter of course, you come out and
Yep.
you get another 10 cents off, even off their discounted price if you
get-
shop first.
Yeah, the discounted price is about 10% below the other prices. Then you get another 10 for using the BJ's card.
yeah.
And that's a good idea.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's easy to do.
That's right. But anyway, so folks, don't go panicking. Don't go doing anything crazy. But boy, oh boy, if I were you, I know if I were me, well, wait a minute, I am me.
That's right.
Right. Well, anyway, I'm going to keep my eye on the hurricane, and I'd advise you all to do that too. Because you know what? Even if we get some wind in a bucket full of rain, that has an impact.
Yeah, plus,
And
we're not done with this.
no,
The paper today showed four more brewing in the Atlantic right now.
oh, gee, that makes me feel
Oh,
good.
yeah, it's great.
Wonderful.
But they're still over like Cape Verde and stuff like that. But they are the kind of depression that caused this one to form.
By the way, last night, around just, I don't know, 6:30 or so, man, it came down
Poured.
in buckets.
Yeah, I did over our house too.
You know,
Not very long, but it really poured.
I used to keep a poor man's rain gauge in the backyard coffee can
I got a Homer bucket.
in the middle of the lawn, which wasn't perfectly accurate, but gave me a pretty good idea. And then I'd go out and stick my finger in it and put my thumb on my finger and go in the house and measure it. You know,
you
real
go.
precise
Oh, yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
scientific. I forgot to put the can out. But I'll be willing to bet you we got a half, maybe 3/4 of an inch of rain.
Yeah, because
Because it was coming down.
I keep 2 plastic dishes. They're about this big around, and I always leave them on the table out there with up because when it rains, it fill up the water. I notice the birds like to
Yeah.
bathe in it and drink out
Yeah,
of it.
sure.
So I said, just leave it there
What the
for
heck?
them.
Sure.
And that both of them were full
Yeah,
today.
pretty good rain gauges, yeah. Well, now you said you had something you were bugged about.
This irritated me. AARP, I'm sure Bill belongs, I belong to it. A lot of people do. They do offer some discounts here and there, but they're also a little bit on a phony side too. And this is from the Wall Street Journal, so this is not a. And it says AARP interests diverge from its members. Well, it seems to be that their membership draws in about $301 million a year. But they receive $627 million from United Health Plan, who pays AARP to be their official endorser and everything else. And it seems that Gerald Ginali, the author of this from the Wall Street Journal, dug into it. And he found that they're not always looking for the members' interest. In fact, they were sponsoring and supporting a thing that tossed out of its total revenue of this drug, $880 million was going to be put into the profits of people like United Health at the expense of people's membership like AARP. So you'd think, well, which one are they going to go? They went with United Health. So they don't have your interest at heart all the time.
No, and also in years gone by, there've just been another arm of the Democratic Party, too.
Yeah. And I like the way the guy summed it up. If the AARP won't act in its members' best interest, maybe it's time for seniors to look elsewhere for the advocacy they need.
Do you know another semi-AARP was formed, and I actually joined it. The initiation fee, $16 for you. Mm-hmm. And there was a promise of this, a promise of that, and you'll get a package of free gifts from our advertisers and blah, 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 blah. It was like 10 cents off your next purchase of a 2-gallon bottle of Coca-Cola, which is on sale most of the time anyway. But the whole thing was just an advertising ploy. I got more crap mail from that source. All the advertisers now had my name, and they were bombing me with stuff. Oh, look at this offer here, and this offer here, and you need insurance, and yeah, boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. You open up Pandora's box. Now, they've since gone out of business, so.
Yep. Well, there are advocacies for a lot of companies. Some companies really are sensitive about public relations stuff. Case in point, that's been by 3 months ago. I like V8, low sodium V8 for breakfast.
Yeah.
And I poured it, and I said, what just rolled out of that bottle? It was a beetle, not that long.
Oh, wow.
So I said,
I hope he hadn't drank much.
No, I just poured it. I thought, bloop.
No, I said I hope he hadn't drank much.
Oh, he didn't take much at all. But so I called the 800 number on there. Well, I don't remember. I don't remember the company who owns V8. I think it's Campbell's.
Campbell's.
Yeah, and they couldn't have been nicer.
Yeah.
They were apologized, and they said, well, we'll certainly pay for that thing. And she says, we want to keep you as a customer and everything else. And I got a letter from one of the vice presidents of merchandising.
Yep.
And inside of it was $25 worth of $5 coupons for Campbell's products.
You can't beat that with a
No, I
stick.
said, great. Maybe I can get another beetle someday. I asked him, do you want the bug?
Well,
no, you can throw that away.
I'll tell you what, I had a centipede in my sink Sunday. I could have saved them and gave them to you.
That's right.
Yeah, you could have drowned them and then, well, I'll tell you, they're crazy looking critters.
Oh, they bite too.
Yeah.
They got some venom to them.
They get like pinches.
Yeah, right on the front. Yep.
So I got a paper towel. And
those things creep me out.
I took him outside and dropped him, but obviously I squished him because he didn't move. If I had known that was going to happen, I would have thrown him in the rubbish. But
as far as things get in your food supply, it's you're dealing with machinery, equipment, and particularly if you're dealing with anything that comes in from outside, a crop of some kind. And quite frankly, you know that you can have up to probably almost 30% of foreign objects in certain things like dried spices.
Peanut butter.
Peanut butter, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that foreign objects means insect bodies and legs and antennas and
But
everything else.
in the process, it sterilizes everything,
Yeah, it does.
including insects and
Everything
everything
else.
else. So you don't have to worry about it.
I worked in a canning factory for summers in college, and I mean, with the peas and beans and stuff coming in from the fields. Well, you know, you're picking up mice and you're picking up bugs and rocks and sticks and everything else, and
Everything.
it's all in there. But hopefully, you get most of it out before it gets canned.
I had a good customer out in Chicago. My rep, Dave Wilson from Cleveland, would occasionally go over to Chicago, not his territory, but he was an independent rep. He'd go any place he wants. And he had a couple of customers over there that he had been dealing with for years. And so every once in a while, every 6 months or so, he'd go over. One of them said, you know, I got a friend that runs or works at Blummer Chocolate. And they're redoing part of their plant. They're looking for valves and actuators. I told them about you, and they said, so you recommend this guy? And they said, I've been doing business with him for years. He's a great guy, and the product is a wonderful product, my product.
Yep.
So Dave goes and calls on Blummer Chocolate. Well, guess what? They had a need for 48 actuated valves. Nice order. And so Dave said to me, can I sell them? Well, it's out of my territory. I said, of course you can. Absolutely. So we shipped them out. I think it was like 3 different shipments. They were wanted partials. And so Dave called me up and he says, Bill, he said, I went out to Blummer Chocolate yesterday because I had nothing to do. And he said, I'm going to go to Chicago. And I went out, they got everything installed. Everything is working, and they're happy as all get out. They want to see you. I said, really? Usually people don't really stand in line to see me. But
Well,
he said,
usually,
no.
if somebody wanted to see me, they had a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, guess what? They wanted to thank me
Oh boy.
and say how happy they were. And how do we go about standardizing on your product? Call Dave whenever you got a question. That's all. And so we started selling them stuff. So I went out again. And this time, just for fun, a good customer. I like to take pictures of our valves and actuators, and I had kept a scrapbook, a nice scrapbook of our stuff. And so anyway, they said, well, come on through the plant. Let me show you around. You didn't have time last time, so guess what? The chocolate arrives in these great big bricks, 40 or 50 pounds, 60 pounds. There is no taste to it. It tastes like chalk, raw chocolate. Of course, they put butter in it, milk in it, and then guess what happens? It's beautiful.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But the point is, they'd have skid after skid after skid after skid after skid of all these chunks of chocolate. And I'd be out in the factory. The factory was open to the outside air. I saw a rat and all kinds of, oh yeah. He says, Bill, he said, you see that wall over there? Over on the other side, it is got to be sanitary. All the conditions got to be. That's where all the stainless products are. When the chocolate is processed, it goes over there and it goes into the hermetically controlled atmosphere. And then he said, we take good care of it. But it doesn't matter what happens out here.
No, it doesn't.
But they were an interesting bunch of people, and they became a good customer. Someday when I'm talking to Dave, I must ask him if he still goes out there.
Yep.
But it's amazing what happens. You have all these ideas about, well, I'll go out and I'll look for this kind of a customer, or I'll follow up this kind of a lead, or I'll talk to these two distributors and see what they see out there where we could do something. And a lot of times it's like shoveling sand against the tide.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden you get a phone call. Mr. Crane, could we buy some actuators from you? And would you put them on Apollo ball valves for us, actuate them? Mm-hmm. Out of the clear blue sky.
Yep.
How did you find out about me? Well, funny you should ask, but we have a sister plant down in Georgia, and they're using your stuff. And they said, if you ever really want some good stuff, we've been very happy with remote control, you ought to give those guys a call. So we said, here I am, calling.
Sometimes you never know where these things come from. Too.
Never.
Just out of the blue.
Never.
I had a request. We wanted to put an order. I thought it was a joke. I thought somebody was pulling my leg. He said, we made titanium alloy cutting tools. Mm-hmm. And we made hacksaw blades that would cut into these exotic metals. This guy calls me out one day and he says, how many hacksaw blades can you put in a shipping container? One of those big things that semis haul around, they put on ships. I said, what? He says, yeah. He says, I want a full one of those. I said, I don't know. I called the people at the plant and they said, somebody's kidding you. He said, no, honest to God, this guy sounds serious. So they did all kinds of calculations and the boxes and how they'd pack them and stuff. They came back with a price, and the guy says, all right, I'm going to send you a letter of intent, because they were going overseas. And but he said, I am the end purchaser. He wasn't. They were being, I think, from some embargo someplace with somebody. So
yep. Iran.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know where they went. He wouldn't. Nobody wanted to say anything. So, as far as I'm concerned, it went to ABC Company in New York City. That was it.
Yep. But the thing with something like that too is you got to get, as you well know, an irrevocable letter of credit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah. That's what he was saying. That's what
no deal. Excuse me. Yeah, I've run into those situations, no end. Interesting stuff. It just comes in over the transom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was a good month. Had a nice commission check on that one.
And
but they don't come very often.
I discovered a damper company down in Texas. Dampers are like a stove damper, if you recall what they are. And they're fabricated. They're not cast. They're fabricated. You take a big circular piece of metal, and that's your disc, and run a shaft through it, and put a body around it, and you weld up the body, and that's it. Well, I discovered one in a trade magazine, and it was just a little blurb. I said, well, I'm going to give him a call. Guess what? Mr. Crane, next time you're down here, we'd surely like to talk to you.
Yep.
I said, well, but that'll be about 3 weeks. I have an open week, and I'll be very happy to come down. And guess what? They fell in love with me and the product. We started getting business. And then we started getting projects from them. You never know. Mm-hmm. Anyway, well, all right. What else you got? Got anything else good?
Actually, I got something from the Globe. And this shocked me. And I was surprised to see this. It was the last couple of days, and it was on the editorial page. It's one of their editorials writers. And the first one that got my attention, it said, actually, most millennials are not drowning in college debt.
I saw the same article.
see
What an interesting article. Go with it, man.
If you listen to Comrade Bernie or Pocahontas out there screaming and yelling about kids today, we got to have free tuition. We got to forgive all the student debt because they're just drowning in it. In actuality, they're not. It's only a very small percentage have something like $100,000 in debt. And most of them, according to this article, are people that went through medical school, doctorate in law, some other advanced degree at some very expensive
Research
scientists. They're the ones that got it, but they also got the income that said to pay it. It's not that big a deal. Most of the whining and crying about the student debt is they just don't want to pay it.
That's exactly right.
They say, "Oh no, I want to buy a new Volvo. I don't want to."
They view it as an entitlement.
Yep, exactly.
We are entitled to this.
It says that you can't ask John Q. Public to pay off somebody else's kid's debt. And that's,
And you're right, Dwayne. And the real thing that jumped out at me in that article was we're talking about kids that owe $14,000 or $19,000, and they pay it over many years.
Over years and years.
At a very low interest rate. Now, let me ask you something. If that debt were forgiven, they would go out and buy a brand new Volvo.
Oh, absolutely.
And they'd float more than that.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
But they'd be able to pay that off.
Plus, they're saying, well, there's so many default. Well, of course there's going to be default now. Well, you got idiots like Sanders and Warren talking about forgiving student debt. If I was sitting with a $20,000 student debt, and every time I turned on the TV, I heard one of these talking heads talk about it, I probably wouldn't make a payment anymore either. Because why should I make a payment if this would have come to fruition?
Absolutely right. You'd be a sap to make
pay
the
it
payments.
now.
Yeah. So they're not doing the banks any good.
No, they're not. Oh, God, no.
Because they hate banks.
They're creating a self-fulfilling prophecy.
That's exactly right.
Another thing was was a commentary on the settlement made against Johnson & Johnson on the opiates.
Yep.
And the article said, after opiate penalty, few industries are safe. Who are they going to go after next? And, you start getting these settlements of $500 million or $1 billion on an individual settlement or even a state settlement. There's not a state out there that's not going to say, hey, I'm going to do the same thing. Well, you could put somebody like Johnson & Johnson out of business really quick. But they also said here that big chunks of this money goes to the attorneys. I think it was started off with $60 million right off the top, come off. And much like they used the tobacco settlement, for example, these states that sued Philip Morris and all that, and they got all this tobacco money, and it was supposed to help educate people on the dangers of smoking and help cease the smoking.
And also pay medical expenses for people with emphysema.
Yep. But it didn't do it. It went to...
Well, it goes to roads, it goes to highways.
One of them put in an irrigation system in a public golf course.
Another one builds a school with it. It is not being used for what it was intended.
And the article here was actually said they were setting a dangerous precedent.
Very dangerous.
Because why stop at opiates? What about cars? What about this? What about that?
I would guess, I'm just guessing, but I would guess the next target will be Coke and Pepsi.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And they're going to say you've been selling an unhealthy product knowing that it causes obesity, knowing it causes diabetes,
exactly.
knowing it causes high blood pressure.
That's pretty much what they said here.
Yeah.
Be careful because it can set a precedent.
Now, the opiate manufacturers, the drug dealers, pharma, are being blamed solely for this epidemic.
Yep.
Yet, doctors prescribed it.
That's right.
Criminals stole it. Other criminals sell it on the street. And we're giving them all a pass. Well, not so much the doctors. They've had their hands slapped pretty good.
Yep.
But the criminals that steal it, that break into pharmacies, and then sell it on the street to dealers who then sell it to individuals who die from it. Now, if that isn't a crime, it is, they do not enforce it.
No, they don't.
Well, the poor addicts. The poor addicts made a poor choice when they took that stuff. Mm-hmm. And they make a poorer choice when they buy it on the street from criminals. It's like fentanyl.
Yeah.
Now, which brings up another point. There was a pitcher for the California Angels who died 2 months ago. He died in his sleep in his hotel room.
In a hotel room.
Yeah, and I don't want to say his name because I think I know what it was, but he was a marginal ball player. 28 years old. Well, the teammates were devastated. And they wear his number on their shirts,
That's right.
45 inside a circle. And he was a wonderful guy. Well, he was my best friend and all. I'll bet you he was a nice guy, probably. Who knows?
Probably was.
Who knows? Well, there was an article in the paper about a week ago in the Globe and in the Herald. Full-size article. And it said he died of a massive overdose of alcohol, heroin, and fentanyl. There's the trifecta for you.
Well, that's three combinations that'll kill you.
That's right. So my guess is he had quite a bit of booze and said, well, there's got to be something beyond this, but it killed him.
Sure.
Okay. Now, the Red Sox announcers, while they were playing the California Angels, mentioned the 45 on the shirts. And then they said, of course, the news came out about the autopsy and the tragedy of his death. And then there was a base hit, and there was a pitching change, advertisements, and they never came back to tell us what it was.
Oh, no.
Now, I got to tell you something, Dwayne. To me, that's criminal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Here we have a death of a young man. You mean to say that we can't talk about it and educate young people as to what this stuff does?
That's the whole crux of the whole thing. If tragedy, a death result from it, there should be a lesson, something come out of it. Otherwise, it's just a waste.
That's a total and complete
Total waste.
Yeah.
It's like the Kennedy girl.
Yep.
Not too long ago.
Right.
They tried. You know, she died of an drug overdose.
Absolutely.
But they tried to cover that and poo-poo this and poo-poo that. Well, they could have got a strong life lesson out of that thing.
You know what? I'll bet you she was a marvelous little girl.
She probably was.
God rest her soul. But you know, they made her out to be Mother Teresa.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, look, here's a wonderful life that has gone down the drain for a tragic mistake. You kids out there,
Don't do this.
you are not immortal.
Yep.
You can't be doing dangerous things. But you know what? Now I'm preaching to the cameras.
Yep.
The kids don't want to be preached to. No. Back off, old man.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The other thing, you touched on something about destroying companies by suing the hell out of them for real or not so real reasons. You know, the left started a rumor, and I don't know where it started, but that the Olive Garden, the upper management,
Yeah.
were big Trump contributors. And then it was a wildfire on digital, whatever the hell it is. Don't go there. Boycott them. They're Trumpers.
It's crazy.
It is crazy, and I'll be willing to bet you Olive Garden lost a lot of money
sure
over
they did.
that. And their management had to come out and open their tax book
Yep.
and say, look, we didn't contribute a penny. Why should someone make an accusation like that and the person be deemed guilty and have to
do
prove
that all
he's
the
innocent?
time.
I know it. It is a bad, bad thing. And tactics like that, you'd like to see it come back and bite him in the butt, but it won't.
It
It won't.
never
It won't, because you'll never see that in the Globe. You'll never see that in the New York Times or the Washington Post.
You'll see the acquisition or the blaming and the rumor, but you'll never see the resolution of it.
Nope. It'll get lost on the cutting room floor, as we used to
We got
say.
5.
All right. You know what? I think we have just enough time for me to rave about this. So, we had the Straight Pride march in Boston.
That irritated the hell out of me too.
So,
Not because they had it, but the reactions to it.
yeah. So they had straight, and now there was elements of all sorts of other groups in there, some right-wing groups in there, blah, blah, blah. But when they had the Gay Pride parade, there was elements of far left-wing groups marching. Did anyone counter-protest that? No.
They weren't harassed, jeered, thrown at, spit at, and everything
Nothing.
else.
Yeah. So here, because this is white guys,
Yep.
yeah.
Or straight.
Oh boy.
Well, some were minorities, but they either were professed to be straight or they supported a straight
That's
movement.
right. That's right.
And that somehow turns into hate.
And Marty Walsh said
he's
he
a
is
biggest
concerned of allegations of police misconduct and denounced the straight pride marches. Now, did he describe or did he condemn the Caribbean, what was it, a festival?
Yeah.
Where a couple of people were shot and killed.
and had a shootout in
Yeah,
it.
but
For the second year in a row.
Did he come out and say anything about that? No. But so the police came in. Now I'm not setting the marchers were marching. Then we had counter-protesters charge the marchers.
Yep.
And these were Antifa and guys from the left, hoodlums.
The only thing that group, that Antifa and all the other group, they're missing, they don't wear brown shirts.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
They should wear brown shirts, just like the Nazis did in the 30s.
And this is how the Nazis came to power,
exactly
was
the same
beating
way.
up the opposition party.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
They're doing the same thing that the Nazis do
That's right.
today,
So-
but they don't see that in themselves.
The cops came in and were tough on the Antifa people.
They should
So
have.
now they're screaming bloody blue murder
Yep.
that cops bullied and brutalized the Antifa people and just let these cretins continue to march.
Oh, yeah, they should not have.
Ayanna Presley.
Two.
Okay. Ayanna Presley told reporters in Boston, I don't think they should have been arrested. for assaulting people.
Oh, of course not.
I don't think they should have been arrested. And that's why I've been promoting a bail fund to support them. They were protesting a racist, fascist demonstration. Ocasio-Cortez tweeted a link and wrote, "One way to support the local LGBTQ community impacted by Boston's white supremacist parade. Contribute to the bail fund for the activists who put themselves on the line protecting the Boston community."
What a crock.
You know, this is unbelievable.
These are two people that supposedly are representatives, are elite, are leaders.
Yeah.
God help us.
God help us is right. But the Suffolk District Attorney.
Oh, Miss Rollins.
Yes, Miss Rollins. Here's the headlines. Police push prosecution. Hub cops say things will slide downhill if the DA drops charges.
And she will.
And she will.
Absolutely.
And I'll tell you what, this woman is going to set back law and order in this state faster than all the criminals in our history, because she's going to stop prosecuting crime. And
I know some of the policemen. I know one had been a detective in Boston. He's inside now. He doesn't carry a weapon or shield anymore. He works inside administration. He says you can't function anymore. You're going to get sued or you're going to get prison yourself. So he said, I'm not going to do that anymore.
No. Next time we'll have to get into getting guns off the street. You know, this has become quite a hoorah. We better talk about it. Folks, that hour slipped by so fast
I think somebody stole it.
that we are simply going to have to come right back to you. There's too much that's being left unsaid, and so many things that I could rave about. See, I sometimes get low blood pressure, so this raving is good for my blood pressure.
right.
It raises it, you know.
Well, I take 3 blood pressure medicines to get mine down.
Folks, listen, welcome to September. Let's hope the hurricane goes astray and enjoy the beginning of fall. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Football starts, so it's not all lost.
Football starts is right. Go Patriots. And the Bill Crane Sports Report is coming up later on this week with fearless predictions on the Patriots. And I look for good things this year.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So with that, good night.
Take care.